Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. Today on the 4th of June we'll start with Apple that shot higher yesterday and touched 195, but there could be more upside potential. There's a minor divergence here on the RSI, but the trend is bullish. All indicators, the simple moving average is pointing higher. And here on the weekly, we can also see that the weekly chart RSI currently above 60, indicating we could push higher. It hasn't closed up there yet because, well, it's not Friday just yet. However, we are very close to previous peaks, just around 200, as we can see here. They are all-time highs. So it seems like that's where we're gonna move up to test. Will it then create a triple top, 1, 2, possibly 3, or will it break higher, or will it be rejected at just around the 200 level? Here we can see, what was it, 199.62 as the peak, so just below 200. That will be interesting to follow the next few weeks. Moving on to the broad indices, S&P 500 that bounced off the 38.2 retracement, trying to come up here and cancel this. This is the top and reversal, bearish engulfing. It really needs to break above that and close above 53.42 to cancel it. Otherwise, selling pressure could resume. So we'll be a little bit on the knife's edge here on the US indices. Same picture on Nasdaq, really. Also 18,908. It needs to close above that level to cancel this top and reversal pattern. Otherwise, it is selling pressure that will come in. However, what we see here is RSI. There's no divergence, and then we are still in a positive sentiment, indicating we are likely to push higher. So a little bit pointing in each direction here for for Nasdaq 100, so that's some levels to look out for. On the EUROSTOXX 50, it seems like the sellers are now getting back in control again. Couldn't really push higher here. We are testing the cloud. We're testing also 61.8 retracement again, but the key level is 48. 48.88 key support down here that could be tested, especially if we close below the cloud. However, we have the 100 moving average coming up. But if RSI is closing below 40, well, then expect further selling pressure. DAX pushing lower also here after bouncing a little bit over the past few days. I think we will see further selling pressure down to around 18,250, possibly 18,110 in this area. But we have the 55 moving average coming up, gives some support. You see it over here, and here it also gave some support. So still, there is underlying positive signs, but we also had the divergence here on the RSI. We see declining RSI when the market moved higher. So, but if it takes out the yesterday's high here at 18,697, well, then we are looking at testing the previous peak. Amsterdam index currently testing the 902 minor support. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels around 888, 880, around that level where we have some strong support on the 55 moving average. So let's give some support. CAC 40 is under pressure and could test the 79.14 support level and the 100 moving average and the cloud, as you can see here. The RSI is indicating it will test it and possibly or likely break it too, and then we're looking at 48.12. SMI, after buyers couldn't really hold on yesterday throughout the session, it could slide lower in the coming days and weeks. That was a little bit of a bad sign. However, we do not have any divergence on the RSI. That peak here, the close, if you look at closing prices, was higher than this one, and the value here on the RSI higher than this one. So it is indicating we could move higher, but that one is a little bit of road. That really needs to be taken out for further upside potential. Moving on to euro-dollar, that last night had a strong session towards the end of the session, closing above 108.85. We talked about yesterday that was a key level to look out for, and now it seems that there's potential, upside potential to around 109. 180, 110 possibly. We are testing the resistance. Is now a support at 108.85 as we speak. It could dip a little bit below, but it has broken higher. There is a little bit of divergence on the RSI, as you can see here, but the trend has been confirmed to be the upside, and I think in the coming weeks we will see, or coming days and weeks, we will see a push towards these levels here. Cable closed above 128 yesterday, so very strong move there also, giving a potential to around 128.90, 129. We are currently a little bit below, but it's not to worry too much. It has broken higher. But maybe it was a false break. We'll see about that. That is really hard to say, because we actually do have a little bit of a divergence here on the RSI, indicating the uptrend is not that strong, but nevertheless it is an uptrend, and I think we'll see it pushing higher. To totally demolish this bullish picture, it really needs to close below 126.70. Dollar yen correction seems to be unfolding here, and we are currently trading around the 38.2 retracement at 155.47. 61.8 retracement at 154 and a change, and the 55 moving average is likely a level to be tested. We can also add a horizontal line and see, okay, we have this one, that dip there, that was actually between the 61.8 and 786 retracement. I'm not quite sure we'll get down there, but if we take out that level, well, then there could be further downside potential for it. But around 154, I think we could see a sell-off to that. If it takes out the previous peak here last week from 157.71, well, then uptrend will resume. Euro yen is still holding on. You can see it actually tested this spike down here from last week, and also this morning, just within a few pips. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 166.64, which is the 61.8, and the lower rising trend line that should be observed, and the cloud area. But for now, it's still holding on nicely. There is divergence on the RSI. I should actually draw a trend line down here. You can see market moved higher. And we look at closing. If it takes out 170.90, well, then we are looking at the previous peak here at 171.68. Aussie yen seems like we are having a correction also unfolding. We see testing currently the dip down from last week. If it takes out 102.80, well, then we could see a larger correction, and let's just add a Fibonacci tool here to it, so we can see where it could dip down to around 102. 101.83 is the 61.8, but it's not unlikely we could dip all the way down to the 786 and the low part of cloud at 101. Sterling yen correction unfolding. First support will be the 38.2 retracement, 197.20, but we could dip all the way down to the 61.8 at 195, possibly all the way down to the low rising trend line and the 786 retracement. But let's see, there are some really strong supports there, but it has been looming with the RSI divergence, and now it's really turning around. We can see several times rejected here at previous peak, so there's really strong interest up there that it doesn't break higher. Aussie dollar, it is in an uptrend. It is struggling a little bit. It really needs to take out to 67.14 to confirm further upside potential. I think it will occur. You can see the moving averages are slightly turning higher or pointing higher here. So it needs to break that 67.14 to confirm, but it is struggling a little bit, but I think we will see it eventually. Dollar Canada, also a little bit frustrating, moving sideways here. 137.44. It needs to break above that to unfold its potential higher towards 138.50, 139. And if the RSI is closing above 60, that is likely to materialize. However, if it takes out 135.90 and RSI closes below 40, well, then we could see a sell-off down to 135, 134.5. EURUSD currently testing a key support at 97.25. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at 96.75, potential lower, but we have the 100 moving average coming up here giving some support. So we could see a little bit of bounce here, but look at that. We actually do have the RSI below 40 threshold at the moment. Let's see, did it actually close yesterday? No. It can still bounce, so if it does close above 40, then expect a bounce. If it does close below 40, then expect further sell-off in EURUSD. That's a massive correction, also spilling into the dollar Swiss that actually took out the 90 level. That has been key. We talked about it for quite some time. Currently testing the lower part of the cloud and the 100 moving average that could give a little bit of a bounce, but the RSI is a negative sentiment, so now the divergence has been traded out, but we are in a negative sentiment with a potential down to 89, 88, 80 around this level where we also have 200 moving average giving some support. Finally, the dollar index broke below 104.26. I think 103.68 will be tested fairly shortly. We are in a negative sentiment, and it's been that for the past couple of weeks, and now in a negative bearish trend, 103.68. If it takes out that, well, then we are looking at levels around 102.5, 103. Gold is holding on, closing above 23.26. Also yesterday, well above. Now selling is back. It actually bounced from the 786 retracement at 23.14. If it takes out that, and I don't mean by a close. I think just a real trade, just going straight through, then we're looking at 22.77. It could play out, but I'm not quite sure it will just yet. But we'll look at silver in a moment, and sometimes that is actually the front runner here. If it takes out 23.64 to the upside, well, then it could resume uptrend. But for now, I'm a little bit in a wait and see mode for gold. Silver, on the other hand, is seriously testing the key support once again at $30. If we do close above here, close below, well, then there's a downside potential to at least 28.5. This is a double top that will then has been confirmed with this potential. But also there is actually potential down to around 28 if we use the theory of double top targets. However, it doesn't always move all the distance it can move. So around 28 level is likely. On the platinum side, it has broken below 1,015 and currently very close to test the 1,000 level, just a few dollars from it, and it could actually spell a little bit of a trouble. So it actually confirmed the downtrend now here. RSI still in a positive sentiment, so let's see how much it can drop further. Will we drop all the way down to 975? It's not unlikely given the history of a platinum that it's very volatile when it's really moving. So be careful with this one. It is currently very heavy. Copper seems to be pushing lower below this 460. Bounced the past few days, but now we're having another go at 460. Could drop all the way down to 450, 446, where we have some strong support. We also have the 55 moving average coming up here. Still positive sentiment despite divergence. I think this area down here will hold, but let's see if the selling pressure here in copper really gets some mojo going. Then it could push lower, but I think we'll stop there. If it takes to really bounce back further, it needs to take out today's high, then we could look at the 487, 490 level, but that needs to be taken out for upside to resume. In the oil market, it really has been selling mode the past 24 hours since we spoke yesterday, pushing it through all the supports here, strong support area here, and there's no real support until around these levels down here, just around 71.70 level. Same picture on Brent crude, really pushing through all supports, and we have potential down to around 76 and maybe a little bit lower to 75. The dollar index, the US 10 Treasury yields is currently testing the 786, retracement at 437, and the lower part of a cloud. We are still in a positive sentiment. It hasn't broken below 40 just yet. If it's really pushing through further, well, then we're looking at 430. So that wasn't really a strong break it did here last week. It's really back in a, I wouldn't say bearish mode. It needs to close below 430 for that. We could either bounce here or bounce from 430. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.